Hey, so go ahead and throw your name on here. This is second hour. Hey, up here at the top of our notes, we have a little flow chart. We are going to fill out the flow chart as we go. I put it at the top because it's the one thing you're going to want to look back at the most probably, is what happens when these certain things happen. And what's going to happen is what happened in that quick write, where your variables are going to end up disappearing. So we're going to get started just solving the equations, and then as things happen, we will add it to our flowchart. So go ahead and move down, and we're going to get started with these first two equations. So we've got 4x minus 32 equals 4 times x minus 8. So on the left side of the equation, that's already simplified. We've got 4x minus 32. So I'm just going to rewrite it. On the right side of the equation, we need to distribute. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 8. First of all, a positive times a negative is going to be negative. And then 4 times 8 is 32. So this one turns into just like the quick write, where we've got the exact same thing on both sides of our equation now. From here, the next thing that we are going to do always, once you get each side of your equation simplified, is we are going to work with our x's. Don't work with the constants yet, work with the x's first. Our first goal is always to get the x's on one side of the equation. So I'm going to start by subtracting 4x from both sides of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 4x here. I'm going to subtract 4x here. And the same thing happens as what we saw on the quick write. This 4x minus 4x, a different color, cancels out. This 4x minus 4x cancels out. On the left side of my equation, we are left with a negative 32. On the right side of my equation, we are left with a negative 32. Okay, so as we were solving, our x's completely canceled out. So I'm going to write down a couple notes to ourselves. The first thing that I'm going to write down is that our variables disappear. That's what I like to call it. So our variables have disappeared, which is going to happen a lot today. It's going to happen on 2/3 of the problems I give you. Once these variables have disappeared, we are still left with an equation. That equation is negative 32 equals negative 32. Is that statement true or false? Does negative 32 equal negative 32? I heard someone say it. True. So that is true. So if we are left with the same number on both sides, negative 32 is negative 32, we are going to write down that that is true. So write a note to yourself that that is true. Our variables disappeared, and we are left with a true statement. Does anyone remember from pre-algebra or middle school, when your variables disappear and you are left with a true statement, what you write down as your answer? Infinite solutions. Good job. So this problem has infinite solutions. So you can either write down infinite solutions, or I like to abbreviate it to either just INFSOL or an infinity sign with solutions. So any of those are acceptable. I'll take this. Joanne. Okay. So any of these are acceptable answers to have. You have to have one of these. I don't want you to just write down true. You don't even need to write down the true. That's just a note to ourselves. So any of those three are acceptable. Also, you can't just write down infinity, because infinity is not the answer. The answer is that there is infinite solutions. And I want to show you guys something cool. Infinite solutions means literally any number is a solution to this equation. So, pick a number, any number. 2? Okay, if I were to plug in 2. So So 4x minus 32 would be 4 times 2 minus 32. I get negative 24. I plug it into the other side. 4 times 2 minus 8. I get negative 24. Okay? Pick another number. 7. I do the same thing. 4 times 7 minus 32 is negative 4. 4 times 7 minus 8 is negative 4. I could plug in any number, literally an infinite number of numbers, every number, and I would get, it would correctly be a solution. Let's do 87.38. I'm trying to show you that it's like super 87.38. Now I gotta remember that. Minus 32, I get 317.52. If I do that on the other side, 4 times 87.38 minus 32. Oh, what did I mess up? Oh, I put in minus 32 instead of, I need to do 4 times 87.38 minus 8. I actually put in minus 32. There you go, 317.52. So we can do this all day. We're not going to. We're going to stop there. But I could put in any number, and it would be a solution to this equation. Okay? Let's do the next example, and then we'll start filling out our flowchart. So the next one we got has some like terms that need to be combined. So on the next one, we can combine together this 2x and this 3x. 2x plus 3x is 5x. And I still have my plus 4. And then on the right side, I've got that 7x and that negative 2x. So I'm going to do 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. So I've got 5x. And then I have plus 6. Okay. What do we notice about this equation? Okay, I just speak up wherever you are. Somebody said something over here, somebody said something over here. What do we notice? What's the same?
It's the same, like, it's the same X thing out loud.
Yeah, so the number with the x is the same. So we've got 5x and 5x. Okay, what's different? The normal number, the constant, the number without the variable. The 4 and the 6 are different than each other. Okay, so from there, my next step, once I get each side simplified out, my next step is always going to be to deal with my x's and get them all on one side or the other, or a lot of times they're going to cancel out. So the next thing I'm going to do is subtract 5x from both sides. Whoop. On the left side, those cancel out. On the right side, those cancel out. What do I have left on the left side of my equation? 4. What do I have left on the right side of my equation? 6. Okay, so once again, my variables have disappeared. So I'm going to write that note down to myself. Again. But does 4 equal 6? No. So we are left with a false statement. So if your variables disappear and you are left with a false statement, instead of having an infinite number of solutions, you have absolutely no solutions. There is no possible number that would make this equation true, because your variables are always going to cancel out, and you're always going to be left with a false statement. So our answer to this would be no solutions, or you could write no SOL. Okay? So this, one of these things is what you would need to write down. Alright, any questions right now? Okay, let's move up. So don't flip it over yet, move up. We're going to fill out this flowchart. So right here on the flowchart, leave the whole top row blank. we're going to fill out this row right here. So in this left box here, I would like you to write down the words variables disappear. Because that's going to be the thing that happens the most today. Okay, if your variables disappear, you then have to look at what you are left with. You have to decide if what you're left with is true or false. So that's what goes in these little arrows here. If what you are left with is true, that means you have an infinite number of solutions. I have an infinity symbol. I didn't mention that out loud. If what you are left with is false, that means you have no solutions. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. So, a couple questions for you. Does 0 equal 0? Yes. So if that's what you're left with, that is true. Does -4 equal 4? No. So if it's the same number, one's positive, one's negative, that is false. Okay? So those are two things that people get tripped up on. All right. Flip this over. The last two problems are going to have solutions. So flip this over. We've got 3 times 4x plus 6 equals 8x plus 38. So we'll still start by distributing here. 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 6 is 18. And then that is equal to 8x plus 38. Okay, I know I wasn't here on Tuesday, but from the video you guys watched on Tuesday, I know I said this out loud in the video. I like to keep things positive. Is it going to be easier to do 12 minus 8 or 8 minus 12? Which one's going to give us a positive answer? 12 minus 8. So I am going to choose to subtract 8x from both sides. I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides and move all my x's to the left. 12x minus 8x is 4x. I still have my plus 18, and that equals 38. And then from there, it's a normal two-step equation. So the reason why we mix these in is because your variables don't always cancel out. It's not always no solution or infinite solutions. Sometimes there's a solution. This one has a solution. So we'll subtract 18 from both sides. Left 4x equals 38 minus 18, which is 20. And I'll divide both sides by 4. We'll get x equals 5. Okay. This problem technically, or it doesn't technically, it does have one solution. I'm writing that in parentheses because you don't really need to tell us that you have one solution, because instead of telling us you have one solution, you're going to find the one solution, okay? But just so you guys know, these problems have one solution. Okay, any questions on that one? Alright, very last one then. We've got 4x plus 15 minus 2x, so we'll combine the 4x and negative 2x there, sorry. 4 minus 2 is 2x. plus 15 equals, and then on the right side, 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times 5 is 15. What's the same on both sides of this equation? 15, the normal number. So that 15, the constant, is the same. That's something to notice. We're still going to continue solving. Is it going to be easier to do 2 minus 6 or 6 minus 2? Think in your head what the answer would be. 2 minus 6 or 6 minus 2. 6 minus 2 is going to leave us with a positive. So we're going to subtract that 2x from both sides. These cancel. I've got 15 on the left equals 6x minus 2x is 4x. And I still have my plus 15. Okay, this is a normal equation. I'm going to solve it like a normal equation. Did my variables cancel out? Do I still have x's? Yeah, so my variables did not cancel out. I am going to now subtract 15 from both sides. What is 15 minus 15? 0. So we've got 0 on the left side of my equation. These cancel out. I guess these technically also cancel out. I've got 0 equals 4x. Have my variables disappeared? I still have an x, so I still need to keep solving for x. So even though it's equal to 0, I keep solving. So I'm going to divide by both sides by 4. 0 divided by 4 is 0. So I get 0 equals x, which I am going to flip around to be x equals 0. Okay, how many solutions do I have to this problem? You're right. We have one solution. So this problem, even though the one solution happens to be 0, we have one solution, okay? So if all of your variables cancel out, that's when you get no solutions or infinite solutions. If you're able to keep solving for x, even if x equals 0, you have one solution still. All right, flip this over. We need to finish filling out the flowchart, which is, we're going to fill it out with the one solution part. So in this top left box here, I'm going to write down that I am able to solve for x. Or any other variable. If I am able to solve for x, then yay. That's what I'm writing here. That means we have one solution, and we need to solve for that one solution. So we should have an x equals as our answer. So don't just write down that you're gonna have one solution, you have to actually solve for the one solution. Okay, any questions right now? Okay, something I want to point out for what we're about to do is before we actually work on our assignments, I'm going to have you guys work on a bunch of problems, or it's a look at. I'm going to have you guys look at a bunch of problems where you're able to tell pretty close to the beginning whether you're going to have one solution, no solutions, or infinite solutions. So you will have infinite solutions if what's left is the exact same on both sides. You're going to have no solutions if your variables will cancel out, but these are not the same. And then if your variables don't cancel out, that's when you're going to have one solution. Okay, glue these notes into your notebook. They do need to get folded. I do need to also find my notebook. I was gone for one day. How did I lose everything I own? I was gone for one day 2 days ago as well. Like, where in the world is my notebook? I can stop this recording, I suppose. Actually, no, because I want to show you how to glue it. Is it down here? I'll find my notebook later, I guess. I'm gonna stop this recording. You can glue, so, zoom up. You're gonna take this, fold this down, only put glue on the blank part, and then fold it back up, and you'll be able to see your notes front and back. Okay, I'm gonna stop this recording and look for my notebook.